Alright, welcome back to the 2014 Pro League preseason, casted of course by Wolf and Brendan, sponsored by SK Telecom. And in our finals we have CJ and Dis up against JINAIR Green Wings. Really exciting matches coming up. It's been a really fun preseason, and you know, the sad thing about it for me is it feels so short. It's only 2 days. It
really does. It's only 2 days right in a row. They're not even too long of days. It's just a little taste, it's like eating that one chip like we were talking before. You eat the one chip, you're like, oh, this is how good Pro League's going to be? Well, you know, I guess we're just going to have to wait till the 29th. I guess we're going
to try one more a little bit later. Second chip hasn't spawned yet, but just wait for it. Yet. It's kind of like that taste that you get of the soup when you know it's ready. Like you take the one sip out of the spoon and you're like, yeah, it's ready. But you got to wait for it to cool down, so that's what you guys are going to have to do. But you're still taking that sip right now because we're going to the finals, and we've got two incredible teams going at it. I'm really excited to see how they face off. I'm not going to tell you guys who the players are just yet until they come up on screen, but we get to see some old faces and some new faces, matching up against each other. And there they are.
Yep, on the screen, of course, you guys see who the players will be for the Pro League Finals for the preseason. JINAIR Green Wings versus CJ and Dis, of course. For the first round is Pigbaby versus Hydra on Bel'Shir Vestige. Then for the 2v2, the same 2v2 teams for each team. It is Terminator and Climax versus Effort and Byung. Whereas for the third set, if it comes to it, it will be Cure against Hero.
Yeah, so again, we get to see another PVZ on Bel'Shir Vestige. So that's just what we get to keep seeing over and over and over again. It makes sense to me to see a lot of Protoss being picked, but I expected to see more Protoss versus Protoss on that map, or Protoss versus Terran, not so much the teams putting out the Zergs, but we'll see if he could actually get through it this time. We're actually jumping into the game on Bel'Shir Vestige right now, very quickly. Let's go into it right now. To the bottom right for JINAIR Green Wings. I thought he should name himself Piglet, and instead he named himself Pigbaby.
Yeah, when I first heard about this guy, Pigbaby, I was like,
I think the word he was looking for was Piglet.
Piglet, very commonly used in English. Anyway, up in the top left is Hydra, the Zerg player for CJ and Dis.
It's still unclear if he named himself after Hydralisks, or if he's just thinking about some sort of water-oriented thing, like with Hydra.
Well, it would be Hydro if it was water. So why would it be Hydra? Is it like the girl version of water, or is that just...
I'm just... Of course it's after Hydras. At least I think so. I didn't ask him.
We have to ask him. You never know.
You know, it's a cool name. Hydras are cool, especially in StarCraft 1. StarCraft 2, a lot of people weren't sure how cool they were going to turn out, but they turned out pretty fine, especially once they got their speed upgrade. In StarCraft 2 Wings of Liberty, Hydras were very rarely used just because they were so slow off of creep. But now they have that speed upgrade. They have the same speed on creep and off creep. And we see a pool first for Hydra because this is it. This is the finals of the preseason. Don't want to get cannon rushed in game 1.
Yeah, got to be very careful. The pylon already out there. We're going to have to see what he goes for here.
Yeah.
First building. This looks like it's going to be a Nexus first. Not too surprising.
This is a great opening for Pigbaby because if your opponent goes for a pool first and you go Nexus first, you still have plenty of time to get your cannon up and be ready defensively. But because if you go Forge first, for example, and you go to your opponent's base and he has a pool first, you're like, oh, well, that was a waste because now I can't actually cannon him and I'm not getting anything out of that Forge. My Nexus is just delayed. The Gateway Expand is also good, but this is ideal. This is the best build possible for Pigbaby. You know, if you're going for a Forge-oriented expand, to have the Nexus first against the hatchery after the pool.
Yeah, I mean, it just makes sense. Hydra going for that pool first. It will be a little bit later on that second hatcher, whereas Pigbaby will actually be pyloning back here. He does have the Forge up by now.
Yeah, and you know, it looks like, the thing is, it looks like it could be a fake if it's seen. But since Hydra isn't scouted, he actually could commit if he really wanted to.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's unscouted, anything goes, man.
It wasn't scouted up until now. The drone did scout it just there. I think he did get a second pylon up to defend it, and he's making a second cannon, so committing a bit to this.
But he doesn't have anything at home, so these Zerglings are going to be a little bit annoying. The hatchery's already canceled, which forces a cancel here. And then we're going to have a cannon back at home, which will, of course, then also be canceled.
This is going to be interesting. He doesn't have any cannon up here. He doesn't have a gateway to make any units. He's going to maybe have to pull some probes here.
Yeah, I think he's definitely going to pull some probes here. They come from the main base, and if that pylon goes down, he could actually just keep making Zerglings and then possibly end the game. This is a little bit shocking, in fact, that we're seeing Pigbaby do this. Pigbaby is one of the most aggressive Pro players we have ever seen in Heart of the Swarm, and he's really showing here, just microing with his Zerglings really, really well. Hydra, that is, against Pigbaby. Pigbaby just showing his aggressiveness with that cannon, but it's...
Oh, and the pylon does go down, only starting the second one here.
The gateway's not ready. I mean, yeah. This is a big problem.
Gateway's not up. The pylon's not up. He's probably going to come in here and try to do this again, but pulling a lot of probes now is Pigbaby.
If he can actually kill that pylon again, the cannon will still not be powered.
But it looks like he's not. He's going to focus it down, try to take it down. He has 3 Zerglings left, 2.
Oh, 2 more Zerglings running!
And he gets the pylon down. A second one is now being built. It is almost completed.
I feel like my voice was unpowered as that pylon died. But,
it sounded just about that way, Wolf.
But I'm trying to recover from my sickness still. My apologies to anyone who tuned in late. I'm very sick right now, but I'm trying to get through this. Once early in the main base is going to continue to be annoying. This isn't the best situation for Pigbaby, but on the other hand, Hydra's forced to double expand far away from his natural because of that one cannon that we saw earlier, and the worker count is not very good right now for Hydra. He will start to buffer that a little bit, though, as his queens come out.
Yeah, it's going to be a little while here before Pigbaby can actually put on some, decent pressure, and we can see even in Pigbaby's base, he's not making any more gateways or anything super aggressive just yet. So Hydra is going to have a bit of time here to drone up. He didn't commit to anything with the Zerglings, but he did do a little bit of nice pressure, delaying some of the buildings here. The gateway wasn't up at the exact right time, but
yeah, Pigbaby actually now falls behind the Harvesters once those injects start to hit and once the larva starts to come into play. We have double gas in the main base for Hydra, but this is still an okay spot for Pigbaby. He didn't lose a ton to that. He just had to rebuild pylons. He didn't panic. That was the most important part.
He did a good job. He pulled enough probes was the thing. He pulled a lot, but it delayed a bit of mining time, but it was able to stop the push. And if he didn't pull that many, it would have been a lot worse. And maybe at that point, Hydra could have actually gone for something like an all-in, but it just didn't even look like he was going to try for that Hydra. Like, he had the 2 bases up away from his main base, now going for a 4th base. That's a pretty easy pickup, actually, because it is right next to his base. Pretty, not free, but, with 2 bases away, it is good to get that base up as well.
Yeah, well said. If your 3rd base, or your base that would come up, as a 3rd base gets up, and you get the base that you take as your 4th, and you have 3 bases up, and you're not under attack, your 4th base is so easy to defend, comparatively, since it's right next to your main base. So it's very comfortable, and he even keeps his Zerglings over here just in case anything weird happens. And he's actually hiding a lot of Zerglings here.
Now up to 15 on the map. Going to come in here and actually take out these buildings in the back.
Interesting choice to do this quite like this. Without a Roach Horn, I guess this makes sense. But for a second there, I thought he was hiding the Zerglings just to keep his opponent a little bit tricked on how many units he has on the map in case that Pigbaby said, oh, you know what, you have a 4th base, I'm going to attack that, and then he had enough links to do it, and oh my god, this is Pigbaby to a T, or in this case to a P, I-G-B-A-B-Y, because he's adding all of the gateways here, he's going for an attack, and this is going to be very difficult to defend by Hydra because he spent so much resources on getting 4 bases up, even before the 9-minute mark.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't drone super hard. He does have a bunch of Zerglings on the map, and he has a ton of larvae, as you guys see there, 21, but I'm not sure if he's going to scout this in time. I mean, he has to know he is playing against Pigbaby, a very aggressive player. He is one of the most aggressive Protoss players. He has to assume maybe that Pigbaby is going to go for some aggression, so probably going to be a bit careful here. He already has 13 roaches in production, but that is 6 gates.
Yeah. Looking at the production tab and all the larvae he saved, Hydra kind of has an idea about what's up. Now, even with all those roaches with good force fields here, this push can still work. He's getting a bunch of cannons up at home as well because he knows that a counterattack could be problematic with this many roaches and also the lings on the map. +1 will be done as well, and here comes that War Prism. There's so much production, and he has had so much time. It really comes down to the micro, though. I think Pigbaby can still do a lot with this if his micro is perfect. It has to be basically perfect.
It does have to be basically perfect, and he has a lot of sentries to do just that, make the really good force fields, but we're going to have to see how he does. Putting down 1 there. He has 2 Immortals in this mix, so it could go well. The force fields are not going down, though. They do finally go down, but not the best.
Not the best force fields, and you know, he does have that Warp Prism to lift the Immortal up into, which makes it a lot harder for those roaches to actually target. Just pop that Immortal back into the Warp Prism, drops it out again. The problem is the production. There's just way too much production here for Hydra. I think in just a few moments with the rest of his roaches coming out, he should be able to push this away. Look how many roaches he has on the map. With 4 hatcheries, with all those larva injects, he just has so much. Plus one is about to finish for him as well. Very soon he targets down the Immortals. The Warp Prism is not near enough to lift them up. Both the Immortals are gone, and that is going to be it for Pigbaby. He's got no follow-up here.
Oh yeah, that's it for Pigbaby. With 4 bases on the map, like you said, for Hydra, he just has so much production. He keeps on pumping those roaches out, and this big army that was very scary from Pigbaby is no longer scary. It is obsolete off the map, and here comes Hydra for the counterattack.
Going for Mutas as a follow-up to this is a great choice because he knows his opponent's already committed to that Cybernetics core tech. The sentry drop here with 6 gateways is kind of scary because he has a lot of potential to warp into units. But eventually, with all that production, he might be able to break out of this. This is actually scarier than I thought, though. Thinking back, he's got so many gates and a lot of Zealots coming here. He can keep warping in sentries. He has enough resources to do that. He just needs to make sure he doesn't miss a single force field, because if he does, the roach is going to get in, and that's going to put an end to this.
Look at this. He's actually getting the roach warren down as well. 3 roaches come out in the main base, but that's not going to be enough, especially with this huge production out of 6 gates for Pigbaby in the back. He's going to try to take down these sentries.
He needs to pull those sentries out, make sure they don't get targeted down. If he loses all the sentries, then the roaches can't actually get into the main base. There goes another Zealot. One more force field will block these roaches out a little bit longer. Now he's going to start losing drones here. They're coming off the line as well. He just really wants to get those sentries targeted down before they can get the next force field. And so far, so good. He warps one more sentry. That one needs the force field. Needs the force field. He does not get it. The roaches come into the main base here, and Hydra will defend.
Hydra is going to defend this very well. He did a really nice job of sticking around, waiting for the sentries to pop out, and he did kill it before he was able to put down that next force field, so able to take away this aggression of Pigbaby.
This choice of Spire is so great because he knows his opponent has robotics tech. He knows that the Twilight tech is not coming for a long time. So with the Mutalisk coming through here, he can just basically kill his opponent knowing there's not enough anti-air. There's only a few sentries. One thing to note, though, is that the Spire was actually canceled from his attack because he was scared he might lose it, and he also needed that gas to make a few more roaches in the main base. Another force field drop comes here again, but this one's power is not as much as the last one. He doesn't have a lot of energy to warp in sentries, but still, he's actually isolated. All the roaches are out again, and he could actually target the Spire down. Is Hydra really going to throw this one away just simply by not leaving enough roaches in his main base? He should have known that this was a possibility, that he could have just easily come back in with the Warp Prism.
Yeah, especially at a Pigbaby. This guy is definitely going to go aggressive in your main base, and now with all of these sentries up and no roaches in the main base, only Zerglings, he has a ton of units in Hydra's main base. That is Pigbaby, but going for a counterattack here is Hydra.
Counterattack is on, but all those cannons he put up earlier are really working out for him. The Spire has to be canceled a second time now. All the drones in the main base are dead. This actually puts Pigbaby at a lead in drones, or rather in harvesters, and he has 4 morals at home. Is he going to make a comeback here? This is a huge throw by Hydra. Not to say that Hydra has played this terribly, but he made the novice mistake, of course, of not being prepared for sentries to come back into his main base. He thought, okay, this is over.
Yeah, he assumed, and he assumed wrong, and this is going to cost him a lot. Now, Pigbaby in the main, he took out the lair. That's gone. He's going to take out the spawning pool. Hydra's going to have to recreate all this, and even though he finally gets up here, Pigbaby even taking some of these units away with him. That is huge damage now at the Hydra.
Yeah, and it's impossible for him to... well, the thing is, it's impossible for him to all-in into Pigbaby. I feel like Pigbaby could have stuck around a little bit longer, but there wasn't much more for him to get. What he wants to do is get his units together here with that Warp Prism to start picking off more bases, because killing the main base and the infrastructure inside is great, especially with a spawning pool down, no more Zerlings, but it's not going to be enough for him to win the game. He needs to actually attack with this right now and take out more bases. He needs to do more damage so that he can transition out of this, because yes, he does have really good tech for now, but the Hydras, they are in production, and there still are 3 bases, don't forget.
Yeah. That is a really good point. I mean, if you look at Pigbaby, he's been on 2 bases the entire time. He only has the production of 6 gates in a robo out of his 2 bases, whereas, you know, he did a lot of damage in Hydra's main. He took out a lot of tech, but look at Hydra's army. He got the Hydra stand down. He is now going for the attack. Pretty nice force fields here, but the Hydra's in the back.
The Hydra's in the back trying to do their extra damage. The Roaches, on the other hand, not really able to fight. Beautiful force fields here by Pigbaby. Is it going to be enough? He has so many Immortals, it looks like he might have enough to break through. He needs more Stalkers. He's warping them in right now. The Mothership Core floating ominously, waiting for those Time Warps, and there they are. No more force fields, but Time Warps, making it so difficult for the Roaches to engage.
Oh, it is so difficult for them to engage. Now with the Time Warps, they are probably going to rush forward. 5 Immortals still alive. and Pigbaby going on the aggressive. Hydra struggling to get a bunch of these units out, pulling the drones now from this 4th base all the way on the right.
And there's just, I mean, there's so much power in those Immortals. All the Hydras coming out, though. He just needed a little bit more time. He had 13 Hydras popping out, 8 more about to come through. That's so many Hydras here, and that's exactly the composition he wants against just pure Stalker Immortal. There's no force fields left. The high ground advantage is there. The Immortals tank so much against the Hydras, but the Zerg army may just be too overwhelming here. He has to move the Warp Prism back. Can he actually hold his Immortals are starting to drop one by one.
The Immortals are going down. He has a ton of Hydras, even Transfusions going down. A little bit left of this Pigbaby army, but just looking at the supply, they're just barely even and able to hold this off just barely as Hydra now with about 10 Hydras on the field.
So Hydra has, with this, secured himself a solid position. Things were looking kind of scary when he lost all the infrastructure in his main. He couldn't make Zerglings. He could only make actually, Hydralisk is all he could make until his Roach Horn was remade. And Hydras were exactly what he wanted. But now look at the worker count, 47 to 35. However, it's 3 base to 2. The main base is getting dangerously low. And also, the natural is not the best shape possible for Pigbaby. He does need a 3rd base. And he needs to also be able to figure out how he wants to move forward with tech. Does he go for Robotics Bay and try to get Colossi out here? Seems to be the obvious choice if you think about what's on the map. But he doesn't have a lot of gas right now. And if he tries to make that and Hydra just decides to go for an all-in with a bunch of Hydras, he might lose because he doesn't have the units. He's trying to take a 3rd base.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see what Pigbaby's going to do here. He does throw down that 3rd base, probably going to go for Colossi, or at least try to start into other types such as Twilight Council. But looking at Hydra, we have to see what he's doing. You just saw him remake that spawning pool, which is deleted or killed in the main base with that big force field drop in the main, or sentry drop in the main, I should say. And now just sitting here as Hydra at the watchtower, just waiting, making some roaches.
Making some roaches, you know, he was making only Hydras, as his name might lead you to believe, when he didn't have a Roach Horn, but now going back into roaches. As you can see, as our observer just highlighted, there's not a whole lot of mining left at that main base. Just 200 minerals left on that patch that we've got selected. Yeah,
Pigbaby running out of minerals there. He has to take that 3rd base. He has to protect that. If he does not, it's going to be very hard for him to stay alive in this game. Hydra looks like he wants to go for attack here. I think it's smart because he knows that Pigbaby has to do this, and he's going to come from 2 angles here.
Yep, here we go. The big attack coming through. He needs to do something. Needs to actually stop that 3rd base if he can, or get a good trade on the army, because then he can, of course, continue on with his economy and start taking up further. This small Roach force is a great choice. This is going to be enough to kill the Nexus or even draw the army away. And when he does draw the army away, he could have gone in for a flank. Looks like instead he just wants to do a big attack at the 3rd base with his buys. Pigbaby so much time he's making a cannon. And Pigbaby's basically decided he's not going into Colossi. He doesn't have enough time for that. He's just trying to get out as many Immortals as he can. And he starts the Robotics Bay now, but he's not going to have it in time for this attack. Here we go. How good are the force fields going to be?
Force fields are key. They don't get a lot of this force. They do get a lot of it outside, though. A bunch of roaches still stuck in there, able to kill him with all of those Immortals. Look how many Immortals he has on the field. 4 right now. And with really good roaches, force fields keeping the Hydras out. He was able to do a lot of damage to the roaches, but Hydra has so many army units right now.
Yeah, the Hydras on the left side, though, all gone, and now the Immortals trying to make quick work of those roaches. Force sets here are decent. That one Immortal barely goes down there, but it did survive for so long, doing so much damage. The Robotic Support Bay is nearly done, so we can see a Hydralisk transition after this, or rather a Colossi transition after this. For us making Hydralisk, that would be a scary sight. It's done, but the damage is also done. 70 supply to 58.
Yeah, the damage has definitely been done. A ton of probes went down there. I think he was fighting with them at the end. But also, if you look at Hydra, he has also not created many drones after that. He's just kept at this small number of, I think, around 37, and just tried to go with the aggression. Now with Pigbaby holding that off, he does have 2 decent bases at least. Going to try to start that probe production up again and try to get this economy going. He has to be careful, though. Hydra is continuing with this. He's not building any drones. Keeps on making Hydras, roaches, probably less roaches. You know, the Immortals were key in that last engagement. The force field's very good at keeping the Hydras way in the back while fighting directly against the roaches.
This is iffy. This does not do a lot for him, and it's a lot of his army going down there. He still has that decent force of Hydras, like you said, which is what he wants. He doesn't want roaches with all the Immortals in the mix. And Pigbaby is making the choice to not make any Colossi because his economy is so shot. A choice that I appreciate. Looks like he will try to make 1. He's saving up 300 minerals, and there it is. You can see on the production tab. 1 Colossus may be all he needs to save this base. And if he can actually hold this attack off, he's going to probably win the game because Hydra is making no more drones. He's basically saying, I'm going to end the game with this attack. How many sentries do you have left? How much force fields do you actually have? Can you stop this much range damage walking down your third base? Can he do it?
It's really going to come down to the force fields. I would like to see the energy on the sentries. I wish we could get a look at that. The force fields are going to be definitely key. This Colossus is going to come out in time, and that's going to be huge, right in time for this. I hope the rally doesn't go right over these Hydras. He does change it there.
Yeah, that was really scary. He, of course, doesn't have range either. Needs to make sure that Colossus does not fight the Hydras like that. Tanks some damage here. And any second that Pigbaby can buy, all the time he can buy, is so good for him because he's making Colossi every time he has the minerals. And eventually he's going to have enough Colossi to deal with this composition, which is almost pure Hydra, with a few Zerglings. And of course, Colossi are decent against Zerglings as well. He keeps making probes. He's got a good economy. And I'm a little bit worried for Hydra.
Hydra looking at the production tab right now. He's continuing making some of those drones, making that lair again. Maybe going to try to transition out of this. He did seem like he wanted to go pretty aggressive here. And making a ton of Zerglings here, as you guys see.
I feel like Hydra has to make a tough choice here. Does he just try to take a new fourth base, you know, and never really replace his main base, and try to transition out of this, get maybe an infestation pit up or get a spire up? Or is he going to try to all into this? And if he wants to all into this, he needs to make that choice very soon, because the longer he waits, the more Colossi come out. Now there's 2. And he's making a few more roaches, no more drones in production. I think he's actually just going to go for the all-in. A sound choice, but against somebody who's micro and multitasking is so good with defending, like we've seen from Pigbaby already this game, it's not going to be easy. It is doable. The longer he waits, the worse it gets.
It's definitely not going to be easy. I mean, you see those sentries there. He does still have so many, and even after that fight, he did throw down a lot of force fields, but now he's been slowly regenerating that energy. He's going to have a ton of force fields, I assure you. But just looking at the supplies, you can see Hydra's definitely going all in with this. He made a few more drones, but looking at that, he has 162. Ton of that is an army supply, and just for Pigbaby, he basically has to hold this off with those 2 Colossi. Yeah. He's making another one in starting range as well.
Pigbaby's army supply, rather, Pigbaby's whole total army supply, or total supply in army and in probes, is less than the army supply of Hydra. But the tech and the cost of Pigbaby's army is much higher. It's a much stronger army. And Hydra, I think what he's trying to accomplish here is bullying a little bit. If he sees an opportunity, he'll seize it. He'll pick off a unit or 2, or take a fight and trade okay. But he is trying to go back in transition. He's getting that spire up. He's taking his main base back.
Yeah, you could tell he made a bunch of army units. He wanted to do some damage with it, but with the army that he saw all the Colossi coming out, he wasn't sure about attacking. But now, actually coming in here with a bunch of the roaches, he has to be careful. A bunch of them getting force fielded off there, not committing to that attack, which was smart.
Yeah, definitely does not want to commit here, especially when he's got Lings over at the third. Even Probes trying to fight to save the Nexus. If he loses this Nexus, that would be huge. That would actually force Pigbaby to go over the attack of his own. So far, it looks like he will save it. Over 100 hit points, 179 left.
Oh, and just barely saves it. But if you look at the production tab, that Spire's about to finish, and look at the resources right now, he's probably going to switch this into Mutalisk.
Exactly what we're going to see. And it's a beautiful choice, because basically all that Pigbaby has been doing is been making anti-ground AoE. Actually goes into Corruptors instead, which is a sound choice as well to help deal with those Colossus, because the Colossus numbers are quite low right now, and they're going to stay that way with the robotics going down here, at least being unpowered.
Yeah, actually thinking about that, I like this choice a lot better, going for the Corruptors. I think he has 3 or 4. I'm not sure about the exact number. Looking right now, it looks like 3. But besides that, if he can take those out, and look at this, throwing the roaches in there, able to take out the third base, that's going to be huge for killing the economy of Pigbaby. Pigbaby, he realizes this, he's trying to go in now for an attack.
Yeah, this is basically his last chance. He absolutely has to do critical damage with this. He has to be able to kill the army of Hydra. That's his objective here. And we'll see how good the force fields are. Here come those Corruptors, already getting their shots up. That's beautiful for Hydra. He gets the fight going his way first. One Colossus drops, the second one getting very low. And he's got such a good concave unit. So Time Warp is down, but the Colossi are not able to do enough damage, and I don't think this is looking very good for Pigbaby right now.
Yeah, all the Colossi go down. He still has all those Corruptors flying in the air, but enough ground army probably to take out the rest of this, even fighting with the drones.
Well,
Hydra knows that he has to hold this off, but it looks really closer than it looked like before.
Yeah, this is actually such a close fight. The Corruptors in the air, now totally useless, and the last of the ground units start to fall. The Immortals, just so much power. I think the big story of this entire game is Immortals are really, really strong against ground units, even against Hydralisk. He holds, and today in Pro League, it's basically been the story of if a Zerg player is ahead and it looks like he has a massive amount of army, sometimes a Protoss army is just so strong and so cost efficient that it doesn't matter. And we saw 2 excellent Protoss versus Zerg games today on this map. I cannot believe that attack was able to work. I saw that the Corruptors are firing on the Colossi, doing no damage. The Colossi are basically shooting at only a few roaches at the front. They weren't getting their full potential. And even still, the Immortals were able to tear through that army.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
One thing I wish I could have seen, maybe throw the Corruptors in a little bit earlier, try to take down some of the Colossi before he committed full on with this ground army. Maybe that would have been better. But besides that, you looked at both of the armies and you said, okay, Hydra has this. He has the army. He has enough Corruptors to take down the Colossi.
He has enough Hydras at the back doing extra damage. He didn't have a flank. That's one thing that may have hurt him a little bit. He had a few units come from behind, but it wasn't enough. And yeah, he was on the low ground fighting against the Protoss army that was up on the high ground, so that gave him a little bit of an edge there, especially once the Colossi were gone, the Corruptors were dead air. They were just kind of like dead supply, floating up there doing nothing. And wow, what a
close game.
Crazy,
really back
crazy
and forth.
First game.
So much aggression out of both players, actually. You saw Pigbaby doing so many good drops in the main, able to take out that lair. That was huge for him early on. And then later on in the game, Hydra, knowing that he had to be aggressive, he didn't have much. He tried to make that lair at the end. He just barely got that Spire up for the Corruptors in time for the Colossi, which was good. But at the same time, he was pushing on the third base. He eventually was able to take it out to kill the economy. But the Pigbaby with that last really strong push, able to do it. I think he had so many Immortals, which really helped him on the ground. That was a good point.
Let's not forget the one point in this game where Pigbaby was able to have, with no tech and with barely any probes and no plans of taking a third base, come into the game was with the 4 sentries he dropped on the main base.
Yeah.
The second time he did it as well. That was the problem. The second time it was like, oh, come on, Hydra, you should have left like 5 roaches in your main base and kill the sentries and everything's fine. Yeah. He didn't. He brought all of his units out again. Pigbaby, in that sense, got lucky because his opponent had that oversight, and that's what brought him back into the game, doing all that damage, eliminating the main base.